They took Fear Factor, locked it in a house, and said, good luck. From panic attacks to gross challenges, I'm recapping every wild moment. This is Kinda Unhinged. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another Fear Factor House of Fear video, and we are on season 1, episode 1. So we begin this episode meeting the house guests. There are 14 of them, and Johnny tells them all to select a gift from the table. And whoever has matching gifts will be the partners for the first challenge. And the two teams that win the first challenge will be able to pick 4 players that will play in an in-game challenge that is an elimination challenge, and one of those players will be going home. So in their first challenge, they have to get into this huge bag that is then vacuum sealed to fit their body. And this is literally the stuff of nightmares. I don't like tight spaces, and I was like, I would be freaking out if I were in this thing. And some of them were freaking out, but nobody panicked. They had a panic, but nobody hit the panic button. But the objective was to somehow climb up to the top of this bag, hit a button, and then escape from the bag. And this looked like a very hard task, but these teams were flying through this. So Rob and Zach were the first team to finish, followed by Lance and Tyler. So those 4 players will get to pick the 4 players that will play in the elimination challenge. So after the challenge, they go back to the house and they're hanging out. And we see Jaylene kind of flirting with Rob. And she said that this was completely strategic because Rob is one of the people that gets to choose who will be in the elimination game. She's like, if I flirt with him, then he'll keep me safe. Well, Zach is inside and he's peeping this whole thing. And he's like, look at this. He's getting played. So when he gets a chance to catch Rob alone, he's like, dude, that girl that you're out there squatting with and flirting with, she's completely honeypotting you. And Rob's like, I don't think she's doing that. And he's like, that's exactly what she's doing. So then Johnny comes back and tells the 4 players that won that he would give them a chance to get a first look at what the challenge will be so that they can be strategic in who they'll send to the elimination challenge. So those 4 go into the first look. There are all these TVs, and one of the players says that it looks like it's straight out of a horror movie, and that's exactly what it looks like. So in their first look, they see that there are snakes and roaches. And right off the bat, Lance is like, we should put Kristen in there because she's afraid of snakes. That's her biggest fear. So they decide that they're only going to tell the other players that they saw bugs. They're not going to tell them about the snakes. So they go out and they tell the other players that this next challenge is going to involve bugs. So while they're talking to the other players, Zach's like, well, I'll go ahead and tell you right now that I threw out your name, Jaylene. And she's like, why'd you throw out my name? He's like, well, I also threw out Kristen's name. And they're like, why would you call us out? Why would you pick us? And he's like, well, it's fun to do that. So then we see Rob talking to Kristen and Jaylene, and he decides to make an alliance with them. And he's like, hey, I'll keep you guys safe. And they're like, okay, great. Because he's got some power this week and he can keep them safe. So then the 4 winners get together to try to decide what 4 players they're going to put in. And Lance is suggesting people and Rob keeps shooting it down because Rob is trying to keep Kristen and Jaylene safe. And Lance is like, what the heck? Every time I try to give a name out, then you keep turning me down. You keep shooting me down. And Rob's like, well, that's not what I'm trying to do. We can all make suggestions. So we get to the elimination challenge and we see 4 chambers. And Johnny says that the players will be put in these chambers and there will be 2 buckets that fall in each round. And they will contain capsules and creatures. So you want to look through these capsules and find a code, enter the code, and that will release the next set of buckets. And you have to do this 3 times, and the last person still in their chamber will be eliminated from the competition. So then he asked the 4 winners what 4 players they are going to put in these chambers. And they chose Kristen, Ethan, Rodney, and Jaylene. And Jaylene is like, what the heck? Rob was supposed to keep us safe. He had the power, and both of his alliance members ended up in the elimination challenge. So of course that irritates her because she's like, he lied. So they each get into their chambers and they drop the first bucket. And Ethan gets pigeons, Jaylene gets rats, Rodney gets lizards, and Kristen gets snakes. And you guys know that Kristen is deathly afraid of snakes. So she's already panicking and saying that she wants to get out. But they're encouraging her, to just try to stick it out. So Rodney is the first person to get a code entered, followed by Jaylene. And Zach is starting to be a real jerk, and he's pointing out the snakes and how, oh, look, that one's getting close to Kristen, and just being a complete jerk. And the other people are trying to encourage them, and he's just like, no, look at that one. Look at that one. It's getting close. It's hissing. It's whatever. And Kristen is trying to block it out, and she manages to get her first code and her second code. So Rodney is the first person to escape the chamber after he gets all three of his codes entered, and then Ethan is able to do the same. So it's down to Jaylene and Kristen. And everyone is cheering them on, especially Kristen, because she's having such a hard time. She's terrified of these snakes, and they start hissing and they're scaring her more and more. And Zach is making it worse and worse. Now he's literally outside of her chamber, pointing at the snakes. Oh, look at that one. Look at that one. And she's getting so mad and she's getting so frustrated. And the other players are trying to cheer her on and trying to tell her to focus on trying to find the capsules. But ultimately, she cannot handle it. She's so afraid of these snakes, and she taps out. So, of course, because she didn't complete the challenge, she is eliminated from the game. And that was pretty much it for this first episode. I think that this is going to be a really good show. I really like this episode. That Zach guy is a jerk though. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. If you guys want more Fear Factor House of Fear content, then go ahead and subscribe. And if you like this video, please hit the like.